So welcome everybody to our webinar Wednesday for today. We are focusing on our One Walk, and I have invited some panelists today who are supporters of our One Walk here in Utah and involved with our committee and our board of directors and are really passionate about the work we are doing as JDRF and our supporters. So I am going to share my screen really quick and have a handy little PowerPoint with some pictures of these wonderful ladies. Why is this lovely? Okay. Hold on one sec. There we go. Technical difficulties. Alrighty. So today's focus is on why I walk and fundraise for JDRF. And so I will introduce our panelists in 1 minute, but first I will introduce myself. I am Stacy Bowen, and I am the development manager for the Mountain Valley chapter, which includes the states of Utah and Idaho. And this last month, I celebrated 13 years of working for JDRF. And those 13 years have gone by in a blink and a lifetime in both. It feels like it just happened yesterday, and it feels like I've been here for my entire life. And those are both good things. I manage our peer-to-peer fundraising programs, which are programs which people engage in and raise funds by asking their friends for donations. So that includes our walk program, our ride program, our do-it-yourself fundraiser program, as well as our challenge events, which are marathons and endurance events. One interesting thing about my career at JDRF is I really started personally fundraising for our mission about 7 years ago, and each year ever since I have raised over $1,000 and qualified for our V1P recognition. And I have all my little trophies on display in my office, and I love them. And I'm especially proud of what those represent. And the reason why I say I don't have a personal connection to type 1, or at least I didn't when I first started. I now have 2 extended family members who have type 1. But really the reason why I stay and why I'm so passionate about working for JDRF is because I love our families. And in this picture is Otto and Vivian, and they're children of one of our board members. Oops. One of our board members who my daughter has formed a really fun friendship with. And I just love our families. I love getting to know them. I love being a part of their lives, and part of the reason why this job is so fun is getting to know these people. So jumping right into our program, JDRF as an organization is invested in raising funds to find a cure for type 1 diabetes. We want to do the most good for the largest number of people in the shortest amount of time. And so along the way, we know that there are lots of different pit stops to a cure. And we want to make sure that we are able to invest in those things that make people's lives better, as well as finding a cure for type 1. So a little bit about our story. We're celebrating 50 years of being open this year. And when I say celebrating, we celebrate the progress that we've made towards a cure. Obviously, we would love to go out of business at any time if that meant there was a cure for type 1 diabetes. But we were founded by families. 2 moms created JDRF and decided they wanted to make a difference in the lives of their children. And we have, in that time, played a role in pretty much every transformative change in T1D care that has happened. And that is something that we are really proud of. Pretty much any technological advancement, we've had a hand in that. And we are the largest non-governmental funder of type 1 diabetes research in the world. Our vision and our mission are very very basic. We want to see a world without T1D. And throughout our 50 years in business, we have seen a lot of changes and very promising breakthroughs in research that are changing people's lives right now. This is just showing how we have made an impact across those 50 years. When I first started at JDRF, the most noteworthy point on this slide is the 70+ clinical trials. When I first started at JDRF, I want to say we had 6 or 7 human clinical trials. And so that's a phenomenal thing to be proud of, to have that many valuable science in clinical trials. We've been able to fund over $2.5 billion in research to type 1 diabetes advancements in that 50 years. And we've been able to leverage over $2.8 billion in federal funding. And when I say that, we can't fund all the research that's needed to cure type 1 alone. So we do work with the federal government and the National Institutes of Health to partner with us on some of the studies that we are funding as well. So that is through our advocacy program. And that's a webinar for another day, because we could talk about that for a whole hour. But being an advocate is so important to being involved with JDRF as well. And then 2 years, this kind of piggybacks on that same slide, and that is for every $1 from JDRF in grant funding, we leverage another $2.50 in T1D research through our partnerships and our influence. So it's really cool to see what we are able to leverage and harness through the money that we raise. And we are all privately funded, so our dollars come in through people who are invested in our mission, and not government agencies, or it's all private. So this slide is showing basically the foundation of JDRF. At the top is JDRF research. At the bottom is JDRF advocacy. And then everything in the middle, obviously curing T1D is at the top of our research, which is beta cell therapies and immunotherapies. So stopping the immune attack, and then also giving therapy to the beta cells so that they can produce insulin again, so we can implant them. And then at the bottom, we have outreach, education, and support, and then also the glucose control therapies, which are things like the artificial pancreas, implantable islet cells, and complications therapies, which is like reversing macular degeneration, and also the prevention things that prevent people who are at risk from developing type 1. And right there in the middle is probably my favorite part of what JDRF represents, is improving lives. And we do that through providing community to JDRF supporters and people living with T1D. We also do that through things like the Bag of Hope and working with the newly diagnosed families and things like that. So that is an all-encompassing picture of JDRF and the services that we are working on and providing to the public. So on this slide, I'm going to have to cheat and look at my notes a little bit. Our approach is harnessing the strengths of research advocacy and community engagement, enabling us to accelerate work across this entire pipeline. So basically, from discovering research in a laboratory to clinical adoption and providing it to patients who are living with type 1 diabetes, we do focus in each of those areas and provide funding for things like healthcare coverage and insulin pricing, and getting the FDA to approve things and bring them to market faster. So that is a very, very condensed version of who we are and what we do. But the bottom line is we continuously need the support of people like Annie and Jaclyn. And our walk program is probably the easiest way to get involved with JDRF. It is kind of the mass appeal peer-to-peer fundraising program that we host. And it is a really great way to get involved with JDRF and find a community of people who are supporting the same mission and finding the same outcomes that you are. And so without further ado, I'm going to introduce Annie first. She is, oh, just kidding. This is our, though I should have had this up the whole time I was talking. It's a national program as well. So last year we were able to raise about $60 million with our walk program to support our research. And this year our walk in Utah is going to be virtual. We know that dealing with complications with COVID-19 and the vulnerable population that we work with, people with type 1 diabetes, we want to make sure that we are socially responsible and that we take every precaution that we can to be careful with our families and not cause any stress or any exposure that may not be good for them. So anyway, we are going virtual on September 26th, and that means it's wherever you are located. And obviously we are working on a game plan of fun things to make the day exciting for you. And it will be a really great day. And last year we were able to raise about $429,000 in Utah from our walk program. So quickly, this is a video showing our walk. It'll be a little different this year. So that shows what our in-person walks look like, and they are truly such a fun and exciting day. But I want you to hear it from some of our team captains, and really they are talking to you today, I think, mostly as mothers of children with diabetes and team captains of the walk. And first I want to introduce Annie Griffin. She is a board member of our Mountain Valley chapter. They've been involved with our walk as, well, first they were Team Hank, now they're Blood Brothers, since 2012. And I will let her tell you a little more about her story. And just, Annie, just let me know when you want me to skip slides. You're muted. There we go.
Okay,
Go.
sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, I'm here. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about this. Like Stacy said, am very passionate about the mission that JDRF has and how it pertains to my life. And this is my cute little family right here. My husband, Randy, my right-hand man. I cannot take all the credit, although it'll seem like I am, but I could not do half of what we do without him. So our oldest is Hank, and you can see him next to Willie, the Wolverine there. He is 15, going to be a sophomore in high school. We've got Max. He's 12, going into 7th grade. And then our little Sam, who is 8. And our sweet little dog, Griffin, that you can't really see in that picture. But anyway, basically, my involvement with JDRF began when Hank was diagnosed. So that was in 2011. And man, looking through these pictures like got me so emotional. He's like a man now. So we're going on almost 10 years with diabetes with him. And when he first got diagnosed, I was really looking for a sense of community. I didn't really know where to turn. I have a great family, a great network of support around me, but no one really knew what we were going through with him. And I was so overwhelmed. I was pregnant with Sam. It was really rough. And I was kind of lost in what to do and what to involve myself with, kind of how to make this kind of tragedy turn into something positive. And that's when we found JDRF. If you want to, is Max the next slide? So Max, right when Hank got diagnosed, we did a study that JDRF actually funds a lot of their work. And they basically test other people in your family for autoantibodies to see if you have a risk factor of developing type 1. And we jumped right in on that study because I thought there was no chance that I could have another kid with this. Hank's diagnosis kind of came out of the blue. He presented all the typical signs, wetting the bed, frequent thirst, just all of those classic signs. And so when we got Max tested, they came back and told us that he had a 50% chance of developing type 1 in the next 5 years. And as luck would have it, almost exactly 5 years later, we got the news about Max. And that middle picture where he's got his arms around Hank and I at the walk, he was actually diagnosed 4 days after that. So we had no clue what was coming our way. We were Team Hank before that. Max, because he's been around it, he knew all the warning signs. He knew exactly what to look for. He had recognized not feeling great and going to the bathroom all the time, and told me I needed to check his blood sugar. And it was confirmed that next day, and he has handled this. It was right before his 8th birthday. So he's had it almost 5 years now. It'll be 5 years in September, actually. You can switch to the next slide. So basically, our walk journey, we kind of, you can see how we were Team Hank there. In that picture, Max was he's a typical middle child, right? So he was so naughty that day and so crazy. And he probably had diabetes then, let's be honest. And it was always kind of a hard day for him. Hank got all the attention. And then when he got diagnosed, we kind of really kicked our fundraising into high gear and created Team Blood Brothers. And as you can see, that is just like a fraction of our family and friends. We always have, I'm so lucky. We have got a huge network of family and friends around us, and they have all jumped on with the mission that JDRF has. They've helped us fundraise. We have really raised, I added it up because I was curious how much money we've raised since we got involved with JDRF, and it's $77,185, which I am extremely proud of. And like I said, I did not do this alone. My family and friends are a force to be reckoned with. And so I kind of wanted to go into a little bit about what we did to raise that kind of money. It's not something that most people want to do. I didn't really know what I was doing. It was kind of a fake it till I make it kind of thing. When we first started with Hank, we decided to just send an email out to everybody telling them we were doing the walk. And we raised like almost $4,000 our first year just by reaching out to our family and friends. We sold those cute shirts and raised some money that way, did yard sales, that kind of thing. And then we had, my sister has like a carnival attraction. So we did that, set it up at a park, had people come and ride in the balls. You can change. I think I have a picture of that. Yeah, you can see her in the ball. So we actually didn't raise as much money as we had hoped with that event, but it was a cute idea anyway. I became involved with the walk, really involved. I was the walk chairman, which Jaclyn is now in Utah County for 3 years. And I don't know if that title just made me feel like I needed to step up my fundraising, but we did a couple events the last couple of years that have raised a lot of money. The luau raised $22,000 for JDRF. Basically, we met at a park. We utilized our friends who are dancers, hula dancers, and fire dancers. I've got a great friend that made really good food. We had auction items, silent live auction. It was a huge success. And it exceeded my wildest dreams as far as fundraising goes. The next year, we had an event space donated to us, and I came across this casino company that comes and sets up games and stuff, and they helped us put on a casino night, and that was even more successful than the luau. We ended up raising almost $2,400 that year. Anyway, like I said, these events were over the top and not really the norm, but I'm letting you know about them just because it is possible. And what I was blown away by is the support, not just by my family, but our neighbors, the kids' sports teams. I mean, everybody rallied around us, and the amount of support, I mean, it just blows my mind. Whether you send a letter or you do a huge event like this, you realize how much people truly care, but they need to know your passion and why you're raising this money. And that is the biggest takeaway that I kind of want to leave you with is, why do I fundraise for JDRF? Why do I put myself through all of the stress and all of these events and all of this stuff? And, you know, it's my kids, you know. I mean, is there another slide after this, Stacy? So when I found out about JDRF, Stacy actually called me, I'll never forget it. And I just knew right then this was going to be kind of my purpose. And I found out how JDRF was created by two moms, which gives me goosebumps still to this day, because the power of moms and the moms that I have met with my involvement in JDRF, just, they blow me away. They are so smart and so strong, and they want better for their kids. And that is what JDRF gives us, is the hope that our kids will live without this disease one day. And I can tell you, from 2011 to now, our treatment with Hank, you know, we've gone through pumps and shots and Dexcoms and all of the things, and it just continues to get better and better and better and better. We are able to manage him in a way that he can compete at high levels on the varsity football team. Max plays on a competitive soccer team. We are a very active family, And that isn't stopped at all. And, you know, I have to give props to JDRF. The research that's being done right now has directly impacted my family and my kids. And when I look at that number of $77,000, I'm thinking like, we have funded some of that research. My family, it gives me a lot of pride, and it makes me feel like I'm doing something to make a difference. And that's truly what drives me. I know that I have capability to raise a lot of money. And so I'm utilizing what I have, the people I know, the connections I have. And that's really what you need to do when you're fundraising, is look at your circle. And you know, you might want to just dip your toe in and see what is possible. But I promise you can do more than you think you can. And since I've been involved, after the walk committee, I joined the board of directors, and the people on that board, they are so inspirational, and they all have a tie to this, and they all share the same passion. And so the support is also a reason, you know, I'm involved with JDRF. There is unlimited amount of support and community. And I absolutely cherish these walk days. Looking back on these pictures, it just brings me to tears, because I just realize how much love we have surrounding us. And there's such a special day for the kids. Now they're both almost, well, Max is almost a teenager. So of course they have to act like they're maybe a little too cool for the walk, but they love that day. And they're super bummed that we can't do an in-person event this year, but we are going to do our best to raise as much money as we can and keep the mission going, because I promise there's research out there, really, really incredible research that needs money to get funded. And that drives me, because I just can't stand to think that there's a cure out there that needs funding and doesn't have it. So that is what drives me. That is why we do what we do. I'm really proud to be a part of this community, and I consider my JDRF friends some of my dearest friends now. And I'm really, really grateful for the chance to share this with all of you.
Thanks, Annie. I'm sure Annie would be okay with me sharing her contact info if any of you are interested in building an event, or just are interested in her fundraising methods, or how she supports JDRF. So contact me if you have any questions about that. So up next is Jaclyn England, and she is this year 2 in Utah? Jaclyn is now the co-chair of the walk committee. Last year was her first year on the committee and doing the walk here in Utah. Her daughter Lila wants to be an astronaut, and I'm sure she'll probably talk about this, but was devastated to find out that people with type 1 can't go to space. And so they created Lila's Lunar Mission for their walk team. And Lila's also an identical twin, and Jaclyn may share some fun stories about treating Lila's type 1, or maybe Sonia's type 1, who knows. But let me let Jaclyn take over and share her story. And then at the end, we'll just close it out and take any questions you might have.
Great, thanks, Stacy. So I am Jaclyn England, and I am the mother of 4 beautiful girls. My husband is an all-girl daddy, just like Annie's husband is an all-boy daddy. And as Stacy mentioned, my 2 oldest girls are identical twins, Sonia and Lila. And when Lila was shortly after her 3rd birthday, she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I knew nothing about type 1 diabetes, except what I had seen in Still Magnolias, which is not a great frame of reference. And she was presenting all the symptoms, and my mama instincts kept telling me something was wrong, and actually kind of led me to research type 1 diabetes until I pushed enough to have an aunt check her blood sugar, and it just said HI, and she said, you're going to primary children's. So here we are at primary children's, and I had 2 little 3-year-olds and a newborn at this time. And it was very, very difficult. It doesn't matter if they're 3 or 13, it's difficult. But Sonia has been by Lila's side every day of her life, obviously, and especially through this journey. And as we were drinking water from a fire hose at primary children's, trying to observe, or not observe, to learn all of this information that we needed to be able to take care of her, we were visited by JDRF representatives and given a bag of hope. And I can still remember almost everything about that visit, even 10 years later, because it brought hope to my soul. Like I said, I didn't know anyone with it. My only frame of reference was still magnolias. I asked the doctor, can she have kids? Is she going to die? All of these things. And they said, no, she'll be fine. And I still remember a sweet woman named Shannon who came in with our bag of hope, and her daughter, who was probably 13 at that time. And she said, this is my healthy daughter. This is my daughter that swims and participates in sports and is active and is healthy and has everything going for her. And it gave me so much hope. And that was my first introduction to the JDRF. I didn't know anything about it until then. And for the next few years, we kind of dabbled in some of the outreach programs that the JDRF puts on. And they meant so much to our family. We went to a tubing event at Soldier Hollow one winter, and we did a Boondocks event, and just so many different events where we could meet other families that were in similar situations, and meet people close to us in the cities that we lived in, and really connect with them. And it's so interesting because we met families 7-8 years ago that we would connect with on Facebook, that then fast forward to 2 years ago, we had been living in Phoenix, and then we moved back to Utah. We moved to Utah County for the first time from Salt Lake County. And I contacted a couple of the moms that I had been just Facebook friends with. Yeah, this is a great one. Especially the swimming picture. So the picture of the 3 girls swimming, my daughter's in the middle, and the 2 other little girls, I had met their moms 7 years earlier at JDRF events, and we had stayed in touch. And I called them and I'm like, where do I live in Utah County? What do I do? And one of the moms telling me, where I should live, because I have no idea about that. And the other little girl, the little girl in purple, she and Lila ended up at the same elementary school, and we're the only 2 diabetics at the elementary school the first year we were here. And not knowing anyone in Utah County, I said, Jen, can you be our emergency contact? As you're filling out the school papers. And she's like, yeah, of course. And so someone that I had met 7 years earlier through a JDRF event was now my emergency contact at school. And I trusted her because we had kind of followed each other's lives for 7 years. We got the kids together for some swimming activities and play dates once we moved back into town, and they hit it off like bandits. So the networking events really, really made an impact to all of us, especially to Lila. We really put a lot of emphasis on, Lila, we're here at Soldier Hollow because of you and your sacrifices. And it just brought her so much pride. We attended One Walk in Salt Lake County before moving to Utah, but I don't even think we walked. We were really passive with our being productive and to the JDRF. And we attended a walk in Phoenix. But once we moved back, again, like I said, we got in touch with Sue Jackson and her daughter Lila, which made an instant connection because her daughter Lila and my daughter Lila are both type 1s. And Sue was the chairwoman for the JDRF walk last fall and many previous falls. And Sue asked me to join the committee, and I was eager to do it. I always knew it was something I wanted to do. I finally didn't have little babies, and I loved it. It was so fun to get to work with other moms and moms and dads and Stacy, and put together this event. We were very cautious in putting our first team together, which was last fall. I wanted to do a $2,000 goal because that meant we got a tent in the team village. And my husband said, no way, let's do $200. And I'm like, oh, come on, they'll let us walk regardless. And so we set up our account. It took about 5 minutes through the JDRF link. And then I linked it onto Facebook. And within 24 hours, we had raised $2,400 and surpassed our goal. And my husband's like, are you kidding me? And we just kept upping our goal and upping our goal. And it was amazing. Ultimately, our first walk, we raised over $11,000, and it was almost pretty much exclusively through Facebook. Friends that we haven't talked to since high school, because I set up my account and then I took my husband's phone and linked all of his contacts to our walk page as well. And friends that we hadn't seen since high school donated $500 or $10 or $15. And it was amazing how the money added up, and it was so humbling. And so walk day came, and it was probably my daughter's favorite day of 2019. It meant so much to her to have her tent, to have her friends, her family there. We had a great group of people come, friends and family, come and support Lila. In the picture on the right with Lila and her cute little friend with red hair, Olivia. Olivia walked with us too, and that was her first walk as well. And I've been friends with her mom since high school, and Amy invited her in-laws to come down and walk with us. And she hasn't always had the best relationship with her in-laws, but as they saw what Amy was doing with Olivia and the money that Olivia had raised in connection with our team, her mother-in-law was like, wow, you are such a good mom. You are putting so much into this for your daughter. And she was just blown away. And it really is humbling to see all that's done for these kids. And it's often called the day that's better than Christmas, because it's just so much fun for the kids. And my daughter is also disappointed that we can't have the walk this year, but she's still excited to fundraise. So we got going. Okay, you know what? Actually, let me talk for a second about Lila's lunar mission. So a year ago, Lila went to Huntsville, Alabama for space camp. And that took all of my guts to send her with this group to Alabama without me, but she did take her twin sister. And thanks to the advancements in technology over the past few years, and the Dexcom share, I was able to get her numbers the whole time and be in touch with her and call her and wake her up in the middle of the night and say, you need a juice box, and be in touch with her throughout the entire day. And that would not have been possible when she was diagnosed. Her CGM needed to be within 3 feet of her. It had no share capabilities, and it's because of research and partnerships with the JDRF and companies like Dexcom and so many other things that it made it possible for her to go to space camp. She loved it, but she was devastated to find out that she would not be able to be allowed in space because of her diabetes, and that ticked her off and set her on a mission to find the cure. And so that's where Lila's lunar mission got started from. And so we created that, and we were off with that, trying to find a cure so that Lila can be the first person in space that has type 1 diabetes. So this year we got started in April, knowing that it was going to be a little bit more difficult to fundraise because of the economic issues, COVID and whatnot. And again, I set our goal at $2,000, and having started in April, we are now a couple $100 short of $10,000 in just the past 2 months. And it has been almost exclusively through Facebook. Annie is a freaking rock star with her events, and she's so amazing. And I never even thought to do anything like that. I have just shared the link on Facebook, and every week I do a Why I Walk Wednesday, and I post information about what it's like for Lila to live with type 1 diabetes, you know, the good parts, like going to Soldier Hollow, and the bad parts, like having 6 juice boxes 2 nights ago in the middle of the night. And it's low pressure, it's informative, it's not a high pitch sales. If you can donate, you can donate, and if you can't, I completely understand. But I have been humbled and overwhelmed at how many people have donated. Even in the middle of this economic crisis, we've still raised almost $10,000, and I'm sure we will raise at least $300 more in the next 4 months to hit our $10,000 goal. So why the JDRF? Why have I aligned myself with it? It's such an easy answer, because they are trying to be part of the cure, the solution. They're not just standing by, they're actively funding research, funding, you know, grants and everything to help my daughter have a better quality of life until a cure is found. I was recently reading over the 2019 research advancements that had been funded by the JDRF, and I could see how some of the things from 2019 are already impacting our lives in 2020. For example, the nasal glucagon that we can now buy instead of the shot glucagon, and that was FDA approved in 2019, and now I have it in my hand, and that's what's going to school with her, and not the shot. The I hold on, honey, just 1 minute. Sorry, there's no, just 1 minute. Sorry, that's just the life of being a mom. The basal IQ that she has with her T-Slim was FDA approved in 2019, and then we were able to upgrade her pump in January, just as soon as we could, and that has changed her life and changed our nights and provided much more sleep than we ever have experienced since she was diagnosed. And it's really exhilarating to be actively working towards a cure instead of just waiting for it. I have become addicted to the JDRF. I talk to anyone that will listen about it. I had my daughter at the dermatologist 2 weeks ago, and I was talking to another mom, and she said she had a type 1. And then I was like, hey, do you think the dermatologist would donate some products so that we can give them away for the, you know, motivation for and incentives for the walk? And she's like, oh yeah, absolutely. And I talked to people at different companies, sponsorships. Do you provide, you know, any sponsorships? Do you provide grants? And it's really opened my eyes to how many opportunities there are if you're just looking for money, and people are willing to give it. And poor Stacy deals with my texts on Sunday night when I'm texting her saying, hey, Target has this program, why aren't we part of it? And researching how we can be part of Target's community outreach and getting some of their money. And so I'm constantly on the lookout, but truthfully, setting up a page and connecting it to Facebook and putting it out there and teaching your friends and family about your life with the JDRF and what it's like is a game changer. And if that's all you do, you'll still be blown away at how much money you raise just doing that. So the JDRF has really been a force for good and a bag of hope in my heart, that there is better options, that there's a cure out there, that there's better treatments. And it's been an honor to join with them and be a part of the solution. And as Annie said, you can do way more good than you think you can just by trying. So I really have appreciated the opportunity to work with the JDRF and Stacy and Annie and everyone else to find a cure and improve outreach and help new families that are drinking from a fire hose and give them comfort as well. So thank you, Stacy, for all that you do and the dedication that you've been given for your career to the JDRF.
Thanks, Jaclyn. So I don't know if we have any questions, and you guys did a really great job covering why fundraise for JDRF. And with the walk looking a little bit different this year than it does, obviously we won't have a big arch with tents and balloons. And while that makes me so sad, I feel like having the walk virtually removes a lot of barriers for participation. And every dollar makes a difference. And so I want to issue a challenge that you become the Walk to Change the Future type. The sign-up process is really simple, and the dollars that you raise will go such a long way in our fight to find a cure. Right now, JDRF is facing some really significant funding gaps. And like Annie mentioned, it's incredibly sad and scary to think that some promising research study is at risk of being shut down because of potential lack of funding. And I want you guys to know, who are watching this, you are in a position to make an impact. And even though I feel like I should address a lot of people, I think, don't participate in the fundraising aspect because they don't feel like they can be a $20,000 walk team or a $10,000 walk team. But I'm here to tell you that even the $20 donations, $20 walk teams, $200, $500, whatever you are in a capacity to raise, is critical and it's necessary. And there are so many people in our type 1 community, and we really have the potential to make a difference this year. And so I want to also say that even though the walk has traditionally been held in Salt Lake or in Provo, with one virtual walk, the geographic barriers are pretty much non-existent. And so I want to encourage people who might be living in a more remote location in Utah, maybe in Duchesne or Beaver or Vernal or Moab, or anywhere in Utah where it might be difficult to travel to Salt Lake or Provo to come and participate in a walk in person. You have the power right now to make a difference wherever you are living for your loved one that has type 1. And so we will have more on that in a future webinar. And Jaclyn doesn't know this, but she's going to be hosting with me a Facebook fundraising webinar to kind of offer her successes in Facebook fundraising. I really have never in all my years of working for JDRF seen such success through Facebook fundraising as I've seen with Jaclyn. And she's taught me a thing or two on how to make your Facebook fundraiser more successful, which I try desperately to impart to other team captains when I talk to them. But we are going to immortalize that on video and share it with the world so every single person can benefit from her trial and error. So with that, I would like to leave you with our walk website and challenge you to register a team today. Get signed up, make a self-donation, whether it's $5 or $50 or whatever you are capable of making. Put your name as the first donor on your fundraising roster, and then put it out there and just see what happens. That's my challenge, is to just get the word out and share your story. We are working on so many things to share with you, and we could be on this webinar for 4 hours sharing all of it. So we will schedule another webinar to share the next little tidbit of information. And in the absence of these in-person events, we would like moving forward to do a lot more shorter, informative webinars to help people feel connected and help people feel educated and empowered to make a difference. So I thank you so much for your time. I thank Jaclyn and Annie for coming and sharing with us. I love hearing the stories. I love seeing pictures of your cute kids. It's hard for me because I've watched Hank grow up, and I haven't known I haven't known, gosh, how do I stop I don't want to share my screen anymore. There we go. And I haven't known Jaclyn and Lila as long, but she has grown up in the last 2 years as well. And it's so fun for me to share my life with you guys. And thank you so much for sharing your life with me. But I am only an email away or a phone call away. So I should have made a slide with my email address. It's on our walk website. So if you go to walk.jdrf.org/Utah, you will find me. And I'm more than happy to help you in your fundraising endeavors. And I truthfully feel I can have the fundraising capacity to coach anybody to raise $1,000. So I want to challenge everybody who's watching to give me that opportunity to let me coach you up to $1,000 fundraiser. But if that's scary, we'll take any fundraising effort that you are willing to give us to help find a cure for this disease. So thank you so much. Ladies, any last words?
I'm always on mute.
There you go.
No, I wanted to tell you, thank you, Stacy. You have, I mean, I wouldn't be here without you. So you can just pencil yourself in that 77,000. Who knows what I would be doing. So I appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
I keep thinking about what Stacy always says is don't answer on behalf of your donors and give your donors the opportunity. And I have always told myself, if you don't ask, the answer's already no. And so if you don't put it out there, then the answer is no. And if you put it out there, then you're letting people decide if they do have an extra $5 or $500. And I've been blown away at what people can and can't give. And so grateful for every donation, but don't answer on behalf of your friends and family. Let them answer and let them make a donation if it's right for them.
Yeah, I think that is extremely important, especially given the state of the world. I think it's easy to assume, oh, no one has money to do that right now, or there's too much going on, or whatever it is. You've obviously seen that's not true, Jaclyn, with your fundraising already. I think people are looking for something positive to be a part of. And I think that we have just that, you know, this is a great opportunity to do something positive. So.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your participation, and we will get our next webinar scheduled ASAP.
Okay.
Thank you guys.